Ada and Cardano have done a great job here in 2024 and 2025 of just absolutely squashing these narratives and these naysayers. It's done a great job of taking steps forward in performance and development. And obviously, now partnerships and integrations have been on the rise. And because of this, there's been a huge surge in interest surrounding Ada. And in fact, Ada has been one of the most added coins here in 2025 by institutional players. And I want to show this to you guys, but this is becoming more apparent as time goes on. And there's a few other things we need to discuss, as well as major shift that's taking place here across the crypto market. So if you guys are new or haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, hit that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So we're obviously still all waiting for ADA to make some of these major moves to the upside. I'm talking about moves to new all-time highs, moves to some of the projections we've talked about in this market cycle. And we can obviously all come to an understanding, and I think come to an agreement, that the early part of this year has sucked. It is blown. And the reason why has been because of black swan events and tariff news and retail capitulation, and it's frankly sucked. There's been major manipulation in the market, and ADA has not been able to escape that overall move in the market. All right. So ADA is not on its own. It's just doing what everything else in the crypto market has done. Now, I will say ADA has an opportunity to take steps forward by itself. And one of the reasons why is because there is huge interest in ADA and Cardano from some players who haven't necessarily been interested in the past. And what I wanted to show you guys was that here in the month of May, well, now it's June, but May was another good month in terms of ADA accumulation by institutional players. In fact, what we saw over the course of May was $2 million worth of ADA added by institutional money. Now, this isn't a huge amount. I will say that, right? But it's good to see that even in the last week where everything was just dog crap, we still saw ADA inflows taking place. Only $100,000 worth, but you guys can see Ethereum saw inflows, Solana saw inflows, XRP actually had outflows, Sui had inflows, ADA, Chainlink, and some others, right? So you're seeing them quietly add assets to their bags while there is this fear and capitulation around the market. And I know somebody had asked, oh yeah, why are you just saying these things without showing numbers? Well, here's your numbers. And in fact, what we've seen throughout 2025 in general is ADA actually be the 6th largest asset added by institutional players. All right. Comes in just behind Solana. Now, why this is so significant is if we look at how much has been added overall throughout history, this year has been a major portion of ADA's actually accumulation by institutional money. So this year has been very different so far when it comes to ADA. And I think a lot of this is obviously stemming from the interest surrounding crypto strategic reserve assets because of this potential integration with government. I mean, we have taken some major steps forward. And this is all kind of happening at just the right time. This is also the reason, guys, why we have an ADA spot ETF filing by Grayscale. I mean, Grayscale tends to be the one that kind of front runs all the other institutional players and kind of triggers that interest. I believe right now, I think there's only 2 filings for an ADA spot ETF. Can't remember off the top of my head. I apologize. But this is kind of the dipping the toes in the water. And you can see things accelerate, especially as time goes on. And there is some of more of those integrations that take place. Now, something I did want to show everybody that I did talk about in my Shiba Inu video earlier today is this huge consistency when it comes to institutional players adding Ethereum. Now, this marks, gosh, I didn't even count, 11 straight days. Yeah, 11 straight days of institutional money actually adding Ethereum, despite some of those BTC outflow days. And I think this is marking a very important trend shift in the crypto market. And why this is so important is if you guys remember these altcoin phases, phase 2 is the big one where Ethereum is outperforming BTC. And we hear talks of the flippening. Now, we're not talking anywhere close to the flippening happening right now because Ethereum is, about 1/9 or 1/8 of this market cap of Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin has gotten way too much institutional interest. And because of that, I don't think Ethereum has really a chance of flipping BTC anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. And there's some data I need to show in a different video. That'll be a Shiba Inu video because it more relates to that. But we're still a long way from that being the case. And I think BTC has kind of done a very good job of separating itself so far this cycle. But we are noticing this trend shift take place where ETH is being added at insane rates. And why this is important is that's a big sign that retail looks for in terms of accumulation. That is when retail starts dipping its toes further into the sand. All right. Or into the water, into the sand. And what we're seeing right now, again, is just these continued signs of USDT dominance wanting to drop off. And that's big because the big thing we've talked about in this market cycle is we need to have enough confidence from the retail in the market to move the market for adoption to take place. And that just hasn't been the case. We haven't had enough of that in crypto as of late. Signs are that that may in fact be changing. Now, again, there have been some people that have disagreed with me on this, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with having disagreements and different points of views in the crypto market. Some people are still under the impression that we need to have, interest rate decreases and we need to see quantitative easing before we get any significant surges into the crypto market. And maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. Only time will tell. If we're before those times, if we get a huge surge of capital, then guess what? What we talked about is right. If it doesn't happen until then, well, guess what? Then I was wrong, right? But I think we can all agree that where the market is headed to long term is some pretty big things. All right. Worldwide adoption, mass adoption, huge integrations, blockchain tech. And that is where obviously ADA and Cardano have a real opportunity to shine. But that is why you have to remember that crypto is not a get rich quick scheme. It is not a quick flip, especially ADA. ADA is a blue chip asset. It's a 20 some billion dollar asset. I should know this number. 24.5 billion dollar asset. It moves a little slower at times. And what we're talking about is real world use, real world integration. And that is something big that will in fact change the world over time. But you're going to have to be patient to see those times take place. We're on the verge of some pretty big stuff, guys. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.